the Headwaters Resource Conservation and Development Council presents the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. In partnership with the United States Department of Agriculture, Natural Resources Conservation Service, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the Foundation for Pennsylvania Watersheds, the Pennsylvania Grazing Lands Coalition, Penn State College of Agricultural Sciences, Penn State Extension, the Potter County Conservation District, and by the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Bureau of Forestry. Thank you for your support.
Good afternoon. I'm Amanda Murdock with the Natural Resource Conservation Service. Today we're here at the Dean Irway Farm in Potter County, Pennsylvania to showcase the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, in which Dean has been implementing cropland practices to improve his farmland. Dean's goal is to reduce phosphorus runoff and improve soil health within his farm in the Genesee Watershed. While some things Mr. Irway has done in the field are obvious, others are not. Mr. Irway has performed the following on his farm to improve soil health and fertility. Dean has performed soil testing to better manage liming and nutrient application based off the crop need, pre-side dress nitrogen test on corn, a late stalk nitrogen test on corn, and he also developed nutrient balance sheets to ensure the proper place, timing, and amount of fertilizers applied. Implementing a nutrient plan ensures that the crops will utilize the nutrients once they're applied, and it also reduces the risk of runoff into the surrounding watershed. So let's take a look at what we can see out here. Currently, Mr. Irway is operating on a 6-year conservation crop rotation in which he plants 2 years of corn silage, 1 year of sorghum Sudan grass, followed by 3 years mixed hay with clover. He also follows his corn silage and sorghum Sudan grass with a multi-species cover crop in the fall. So what are some benefits of a diverse conservation crop rotation? One of them is that you can implement legumes within the rotation to reduce the need for nitrogen fertilizer. Currently, Dean implements some clover into his fescue cool season hay to add nitrogen to the soil in which the following crop can utilize. Crop rotations also help break up pest cycles for insects and unwanted weed plants. Soil health and structure is also improved. The continuous supply of living roots helps feed the microbes in the soil underneath. And cover crops also help allow for earlier field access in the spring when you may have a wet year. So as we look a little closer at what Dean's doing here, right now we're in a demonstration strip in which Dean has planted sorghum Sudan grass this past spring and harvested it this fall. He recently planted his multi-species cover crop in the beginning of October. The mix that we're looking at the ground here is cereal rye with a forage radish. All right, so Dean has been no-tilling for about 8 years. And as I said earlier, he's planted a cereal rye and a forage radish cover crop this fall, around October 8th. And you can already see that the living roots system that's in the soil profile, they're already about 6 inches in length and are throughout the soil profile, which is good for water infiltration and allows for the plants to uptake nutrients instead of those nutrients to run off. If we look at a soil health perspective, the soil is very dark in color, very rich in organic matter, and has that cottage cheese look to it, which is good for infiltration of water. Part of the demonstration network, Dean did test the organic matter in his fields, and his organic matter content is anywhere between 5.5% and 6.5% on the 3 demonstration strips on the farm. So as you can see here, you can see a lot of living roots, different residue on the soil surface from previous crop rotations. So Dean is doing a very good job with his crop residue management. Also, as part of the demonstration network, cover crops were planted in these test strips. This field was previously corn silage, which is a low residue crop. And after the corn silage was harvested in the fall, Mr. Irway planted a diverse cover crop mix of cereal rye and forage radishes. One benefit of cover crops is to reduce soil erosion. And we're looking at an example here in one of the demonstration strips in which erosion occurred after the cover crop was planted. So I don't know if you could see under the stick here the depth in which the erosion occurred, but the cover crops are still remain in place, which shows that the root structure is established and they can hold the soil. If a cover crop was not planted after corn silage, soil would freely move off this field. An interesting thing about phosphorus is that it binds to soil, so when you lose soil off of your crop fields, that ultimately can end up in the surrounding watersheds. So let's take a look at the root structures for the forage radish and the cereal ryegrass. The forage radish typically has a taproot which will infiltrate deeper into the soil profile and will uptake different nutrients compared to the cereal ryegrass. Now if we look at the cereal rye, which has a more fibrous root structure, they're better able to utilize nutrients closer to the soil surface, and their fibrous root system also helps them hold in soil into the profile. So both the cereal ryegrass and the forage radish are very good at also reducing compaction in soils, which is very common in Potter County, Pennsylvania. Due to the taproot system in the forage radish and the fibrous root system in the cereal rye, they work together well to alleviate compaction issues on cropland. So this is a corn root wad found in the cover crop field that we're standing in as part of the demonstration network. And this just shows some earthworm activity that we're seeing as a result of the no-till practices and cover crop practices that Mr. Irway is implementing on his farm. By implementing a cover crop program, he is providing habitat for earthworm activity, which increases water infiltration within the soil profile. So each of these little earthworms will create a hole that roots can grow down and water can also grow down, ultimately reducing water runoff.